good ratings returns for the Indiana Fever.
The Caitlin Clark effect continues even when she's not on the court.
Anything without Clark is lower than everything else, but everything else has gotten higher than it was before.
Caitlin Clark is the biggest drawer in women's basketball.
Unbelievable things just happened. Ratings for the Indiana Fever surged even without Caitlin Clark playing.
The Indiana Fever drew 851,000 viewers, becoming the most viewed WNBA game despite Caitlin Clark's absence. This viewership was crazy.
However, don't misunderstand, this is about the enormous shadow she throws over the whole league, not about the team surviving without her.
Without Caitlin Clark being in attendance, it is not stopping fans from viewing the games and supporting the team.
The Fever attracted record-breaking figures. And you know what? Caitlin didn't even play. Now that she's back, everything is going to blow out once more. If you completely support Caitlin Clark, please leave a comment below. We are interested in determining the true strength of her fan following.
Caitlin Clark is a rising star in women's basketball. She's pulling in crazy viewership numbers.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP. She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
And she's so good at basketball.
Because she's that awesome person and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
The startling figures have been released. With 851,000 viewers, the Indiana Fever's most recent game versus the Connecticut Sun was the most viewed WNBA game on ION. ION's average viewership for the full season is 851,000. The catch is this: Caitlin Clark never set foot on the court.
Fever's matchup on Friday versus the Connecticut Sun, 851,000 viewers, becoming the most viewed WNBA game on ION this season, despite Caitlin Clark's absence.
The Caitlin Clark effect continues even when she's not on the court.
The nation turned out in record numbers to witness a game without its brightest star, despite her being sidelined with a quad injury. Critics may first attempt to use this as proof that the Fever, or perhaps the WNBA, can succeed without Clark. However, don't be fooled by the illusion. Upon closer inspection, it becomes evident. The presence of Caitlin Clark is solely responsible for this record-breaking viewership.
She is more famous than all of this generation's NBA stars.
Caitlin Clark effect, there has been so much of an influx in attendance and jersey sales and viewership, all the things.
Caitlin Clark comes into the WNBA, goes through college. She has panache. She has style.
Influence and following. Because Indiana is Caitlin Clark's club, fans tuned in for more than just the game. Her name alone draws millions of people to the TV, regardless of whether she is in uniform or is sitting on the bench in street clothes. Let us make a comparison. Other WNBA games sans Caitlin were barely drawing 400,000 viewers only a week prior. Not all of the games broke 350,000. The eagerly awaited debut of Paige Booker.
Paige Becker's WNBA debut, 639,000. Sparks, Valkyrie, the inaugural game, 581,000. The WNBA was feeling themselves.
That attracted over 639,000 watchers. Not even A.A. Wilson and the StarPack Las Vegas Aces were able to draw in more than 459,000 viewers during a post-Fever time. However, the Fever sans Clark managed to attract almost twice as many viewers, with many of them leaving before the following game. Almost 300,000 individuals shut off the broadcast after the Fever game, according to one podcaster.
I know you guys don't believe it because 300,000 people turned it off, but there was.
The message is really obvious. Clark's impact continues even when she sustains an injury. She continues to be the main driver of WNBA viewing. Not to mention that just 389,000 people watched the same game on ION at this time last year. This indicates that the Fever's 851K performance this week represented a 119% rise in audience size.
The 851,000 viewers on ION was a 119% increase over the comparable window last year that did 389,000 viewers.
Growth of that nature doesn't just happen. It occurs when a player from a different generation alters the terrain, and Caitlin Clark has done just that.
growth involving Clark and the Fever is higher than everything.
Clark and the Fever's growth is greater than any other growth. Critics may rush to interpret the recent spike in ratings as proof that the Indiana Fever can still generate revenue without Caitlin Clark, but they are ignoring the more important reality. This loyalty isn't natural. It was constructed by Caitlin Clark. Last year, the Fever were sometimes an afterthought. They weren't filling the seats or drawing large crowds from across the nation.
Clark's fan base that became Fever fans are sticking around and supporting the team, or at least a lot of them are, which is a great sign.
All of it altered the situation. When Caitlin joined the league, she brought with her not only skill, but also a whole culture of enthusiasm and viewership that the WNBA hadn't had in decades. She laid the foundation for what is currently taking place. A regional squad became a national phenomenon because to Clark. She made Indiana believe once again, and despite her injuries, her effect continues to fuel the Flames. Simply look at the figures. When compared to the same game time, last year, Ion's Fever game viewership increased by 119%.
Averaged 851,000 viewers on Ion, which is the network's largest audience of the season and a 119% increase over the comparable window last year.
This is about Clark's presence boosting the brand and giving fans a reason to care, and that commitment goes deep, not about the Fever abruptly being a ratings powerhouse. Several authors claim that when Caitlin was benched, Fever supporters didn't bat an eye. They continued to appear at the arena for full game support, not just to see highlights, but also in front of TVs. One critic likened it to being a supporter of the Golden State Warriors when Steph Curry was injured, because you have an emotional attachment to the person who initially captivated you with the game. You remain faithful. That is what Caitlin did.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT.
She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
The jerseys, the number 22, the various styles, whether it's a t-shirt with 22, whether it's an Iowa jersey, whether it's a Fever jersey, a throwback, I mean, whatever. The amount of people in yellow 22 apparel is stunning.
Because she's that awesome person and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
Cannot deny the impact that she's made on this sport.
She serves as an anchor for this fan base in addition to being a celebrity. Basketball luminaries are stating it as well. According to former WNBA player and ESPN commentator Rebecca Lobo, Caitlin Clark's talents are the foundation of this squad.
One of the best advanced passers in the WNBA. Well, when she's not playing, that's going to look different. She's one of the best players we've seen in women's basketball in terms of involved in the pick and roll. That is going to look different when she's not on the floor.
This team thrives when Caitlin Clark is on the court because of her exceptional passing in the pick and roll and her ability to create spacing. Once she returns to the floor, they will be much, much better. Lobo said that Boston would not be receiving the same high caliber touches and offensive rhythm adjustments without players like Aaliyah. Therefore, even if supporters still cheer for the team in her absence, there's no denying that the product is quite different without her. The offense is less fluid, the floor space collapses, and the Fever are effectively playing without their motor. Despite this, supporters continue to go as they are aware of the team's leader.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP.
She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
However, the emotional bond she has developed with supporters across is more significant than simply the X's and O's. Fans of Fever aren't only following because they have to, they are doing it out of love for the player who revitalized this club. Additionally, it's not limited to Indiana supporters. People from all around the world are watching to witness Caitlin because of her. 95% of viewers in other countries are glued to the Fever, as one footage shown. That's worldwide reach in addition to loyalty. Additionally, we must not overlook what goes on behind the scenes. Reports indicate that as speculation about Caitlin's possible comeback intensifies, ticket sales are increasing once more.
People believe she will be playing, and that's starting to make the ticket prices go up, and up.
Sales of merchandise continue to soar. Social media is flooded with fans requesting injury updates, when they might anticipate seeing her return to the court, and other details. When a player skips a few games, no other player, not even the current MVP, creates this much excitement.
The Caitlin Clark effect continues even when she's not on the court.
The sheer fact that Caitlin Clark is on the bench signing autographs or watching from the sidelines garners media attention. Star power is something that cannot be produced. Therefore, the Fever deserve praise for maintaining their competitiveness. Thank the people for staying tuned in, but remember that Caitlin Clark was the one who started this trend.
That's nice.
And she was shooting the shit out of it.
Of course she was.
Right, so she was shooting the shit out of it. And
she's the face of the league.
Agreed.
Just have nothing but great things to say about who she is as a person. Just so welcoming and so warm as an individual that she can have a conversation with anybody. She's cut from the same cloth as me in that regard. You know what? Us Midwesterners, we tend to just, accept everybody with open arms. She was so kind to my family and everyone in the suite when she came to KC. So huge fans of Caitlin.
And she continues to be the cause of its rise even when she is not there. None of this momentum would exist without her. Now that she is back in the lineup, the league is set to see yet another uptick. Additionally, there will be more than 851,000 viewers this time. Millions of dollars will be involved. The return of Kane Clark is more than simply another injury report. The entire WNBA is waiting impatiently for this plot.
WNBA rumors suggest Caitlin Clark will be among the first stars making $1 million annually. The most notable of which is, y'all already know who, the needle mover, Caitlin Clark.
So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from three. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from three-point range.
As everyone knows, the complete explosion won't happen until she returns to uniform. But let's face it, the Fever survived her absence and viewership remained unusually high. Her comeback isn't only about recovering from a quad injury, it's also about rekindling the passion the league sorely needs to maintain its momentum. Caitlin Clark's return to the court will benefit more than just Indiana. The league as a whole will have to start over, and media outlets are already changing. Of course, sales of tickets are increasing.
Her ticket prices are starting to go up.
It is anticipated that merchandise sales would increase once more. WNBA arenas, which usually have trouble filling seats, are anticipating sold-out away games. Why, given that Clark is more than simply a sensational rookie at the moment, she is the focal point of women's basketball. Observe the league as 851,000 people watched the Fever vs. Sun game. The next game, which featured A.A. Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces, couldn't even reach 460,000 without Clark. Let it sink in, the league's supposed face was unable to hold on to half of the audience that Clark's squad attracted. Furthermore, this is not a one-time event. After the Fever game was completed, over 300,000 people simply shut off their TVs, as noted in many creative breakdowns.
She's the face of the league. Agreed.
Caitlin Clark is a superstar. Globally.
It's not only a statistic, it's a message. The stats speak louder than the WNBA's promotion of the league's faces. Paige Becker's debut was less impressive than a game of Clarkless Fever. There are hundreds of thousands more elite matches. Without Caitlin, since Caitlin Clark hasn't even reached her prime yet, no player has ever had the immediate and significant influence as she has. Let's take a closer look. Her impact extends beyond the TV ratings and scoreboard. She is changing the way people discuss the game in ESPN segments and on social media. TikTok edits episodes of podcasts. Every platform is dominated by Clark. She compares LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Steph Curry.
LeBron is not the rating driver that Caitlin Clark is. Of Caitlin compared to the rest that are just individually there to see her is berserk. Absolutely berserk. Kobe was probably a bigger draw in big games.
As one analyst correctly noted, in women's basketball, there hasn't been a ratings draw like her, period. You know what? He's correct. Caitlin Clark is in her own lane. Even NBA players and previous greats are sharing their thoughts about her influence. Steph Curry has admitted to having shooting ability. LeBron James brought attention to the inadequate security she is getting. That's not typical. That's not regular recognition. That is the pinnacle of basketball aristocracy, honoring someone who is changing the sports cultural landscape.
What's the panic meter right now for Fever fans? Where should they be?
Where is the panic meter, or where should the panic meter be, Elle? Because those are two very different things. Right. I'm sure Fever fans were expecting a very different start, but they should not be worried, I don't think, at all. Remember, 2 of the 3 games that they lost were with Caitlin Clark. It was by a combined 3 points. One of those games was to the New York Liberty. This is a team that's based around what Caitlin Clark does so well. They got rim runners this year. She's one of the best advanced passers in the WNBA. Well, when she's not playing, that's going to look different. She's one of the best players we've seen in women's basketball in terms of involved in the pick and roll. That is going to look different when she's not on the floor. Aaliyah Boston isn't going to get the same kind of touches. So the players are learning how to play right now, not only with one another, but now without Caitlin Clark. It was a great sign that in their last game, DeWanna Bonner had a 20-point game, but I don't think that fans should be too worried. I think they're going to find themselves, and in some ways, this could help some of the supplemental pieces grow a little bit in Caitlin Clark's absence.
However, despite the fact that the statistics show she is the biggest star, the WNBA hasn't done anything to leverage her popularity. The league frequently downplays her popularity rather than putting her front and center, maybe to protect egos or balance exposure among veterans. However, this is the harsh reality. No brand can endure by concealing its greatest asset. Michael Jordan's prominence wasn't diminished by the NBA. Rather, everything was created around him and the league flourished. With Caitlin Clark, the WNBA currently has the same potential, but they must seize it. Let's discuss timing. Since her injury was just reported 2 weeks ago, her return might occur at any time, and her followers are aware of this. No pun intended, the intensity is increasing. Every practice video, every injury report, and every rumor has social media humming. This fandom isn't passive. This is Caitlin mania, and it will only become worse after she returns to the ground.
This is great news for women's basketball, period. So in 2024, she averaged 16.5 points per game, 4 assists, 5.5 rebounds. She shot 37% from the field and 31.8% from three. Now, if you look at her preseason in 2025, she only played 2 games in this preseason, and one was against that Brazilian national team. She played 21 minutes. She averaged 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She shot 52.5% from the field and 50% from three-point range.
It is a mad situation just all around when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because it's very clear that she is way stronger.
Caitlin has always been an underrated athlete. She's the fastest player in the league to me with the ball in her hands, and she was the best guard finishing around the rim last year. She shot a bunch of it, and it's been the whole preseason where it looks to me like on her deepest shots, she is just getting them off like they're nothing, like they're routine, because nobody else is shooting from this distance regularly, and she's doing it with a flick of the wrist.